Welcome to the Hunt Fish Travel podcast, the first and longest running female hosted hunting podcast. She's fine-tuned her bow and sighted in her rifle. She has deer on the brain and is ready to go. But first, she's helping you navigate your trip of a lifetime. And now, here's your hostess, Carrie Zilka.
Welcome to the Hunt Fish Travel podcast. I am your hostess, Carrie Zilka. This week, we're talking to Austin Smith about hunting whitetails in Texas. The show notes for this episode can be found on the website HuntFishTravel.net under the show tab. You can also find Hunt Fish Travel on the Outdoor Podcast channel, of course, a brand new episode from a different outdoor podcast every single day, all on one single RSS feed. This episode is brought to you by Real Avid. If you use a shotgun to hunt or to shoot clays or whatever, check out their Shotgun Micro Tool. It's a compact, function-packed tool that fits in the palm of your hand. Being able to fix on the fly means a lot to shotgunners, which is why any shooter worth their steel or lead will keep this 17-function tool handy for quick teardowns, choke tube changes, and many other tasks. Be sure to check it out at realavid.com. Find them on Facebook as well as YouTube. And if you follow me on Twitter at Carrie Zilka, keep an eye out for the tweets I tag them in. Be sure to give them a follow at realavid. Austin, welcome to Hunt Fish Travel Podcast.
Hey.
You have the thickest accent. This is going to be hilarious. So let's talk a little more about Texas. Tell me why, say, someone from Wisconsin should come and hunt whitetails in Texas.
That's an amazing question, and I would answer that the best way I know how. As a native Texan, is Texas is it's like a whole nother country down here. You get a vast landscape in our state. We have everything from the piney woods of East Texas to wide grasslands in West Texas, and then you get scorching heat in South Texas.
Yeah.
That's really where the abundance of the ranches and everything, and those are the ones who really actually manage the deer quite well. And the deer are similar, but they have noticeable differences in whichever region decide to come hunt. Typically in East Texas, they have just a little bit bigger body. Their racks aren't fully, I don't want to say not developed.
They're just smaller than the...
Yeah, they're just smaller than the ones that they are managing really well in South Texas. And in West Texas, the deer tend to be skittish. They're really big bodied out there. And every once in a while you get a monster, but it's very rare out there.
Interesting. I suppose, I'm the first one to always admit I'm super spoiled when it comes to whitetail because I live in Wisconsin.
Oh, of course. And you might as well call the entire state of Wisconsin the state of antlers.
Right.
Texas has great barbecue. Minnesota has hockey. You guys have giant whitetails.
Yeah.
So
the truth. But you know what though, I've just in doing a lot of these podcast episodes, I've noticed that some of the southern states though, they just, while they might not be as monster as up here or whatever, they just have more interesting availability and just different types and styles of hunting, which I find really appealing.
Different types in how so?
Just in like tactics.
Oh yes. Spot and stalk, ground blind, tree stand. That's my personal favorite, just so I can get a whole view of everything. Because I had a pretty bad experience in a ground blind one time. Well, not terrible, but I'm looking at a deer and I'm freaking out, getting butt fever, as we say.
Yeah.
And I can't shoot because the lining of the ground blind was in the way of my arrow. And and of course another thing, bow hunting in a ground blind depends on how much room you have in there with you. And I was in there with a buddy of mine and we were filming, and I almost elbowed him in the face when I went to draw back on it. And so I kind of had to come down, and when I did, I pierced the lining of the ground blind, and it scared the deer off.
Oh, no.
So yeah, it was pretty unsuccessful. So I was like, I like tree stand hunting. You get a good range of motion. But if I have to, I have been known to spot and stalk some.
Interesting. I cannot even fathom doing a spot and stalk on a whitetail. Because we have every 2 inches there's a tree up here.
Yes, and a lot of the time in East Texas, it's that way too. You got to really watch what you're doing and make sure you got your scent covered up, and just really try to blend in and just be as still as possible.
Sure.
It's rough spot and stock.
Yeah. Is there a lot of public land to hunt in Texas, or is it mostly private?
Once again, it depends on what region you go to. The private leases and stuff like that typically are more concentrated in the central and kind of southeast Texas, like more toward Corpus Christi, San Antonio, and stuff like that. Whereas there's a lot more public hunting in East Texas and the northern part of the state.
Okay. I wonder why that is. Is that just population density?
Honestly, it may have to do with population density, and I think it's because of just the abundance of forestry out there. Because you go into East Texas, and it literally is like a whole nother country. Because you make the distinction from West Texas, then you get into the metroplex, the downtowns and the city life. And then you start moving out East Texas way, and it's like, man, there is so much green out here. It's amazing. And there's just a lot of state parks around, and they have to, upkeep them and stuff like that.
So say I was coming down there from Wisconsin, and I wanted to hunt public. What area would you suggest I only have like a week's vacation. I'm just going to come and I'm just going to take a pot shot, hopefully get on some good deer. What area would you recommend I go to?
Okay. Well, I actually have a couple.
All right.
Because I tried to do some homework in this. I was not very good at it at school, but here I will try to be.
Awesome.
So the couple of public lands that I have is the Granger Wildlife Management Area, and it's located in Central Texas, and it's about roughly about 10,000 acres. Wow. So it's something you can play around with. Very, very dense, pretty dense areas and everything. And if you didn't really get anything, you're about 45 minutes away from Austin, and the Texas Hill Country is filled with little public hunting areas and stuff. Oh. And then the other one I have is the Sam Houston National Forest, which is here in East Texas, and it's open to all who purchase a state annual public hunting permit, which is roughly around it's like $48, I think. And, the Forest Service up there has done a tremendous job with the ecosystem up there. One of the drawbacks I have with public hunting is it can be especially busy during opening weekend. But, this park right here is ridiculously huge. It's 160,000 acres. It's massive, and with a park that big, it gives you better chances of success for not so much high traffic areas. And another good one is Cattle Lake Wildlife Management in Karnak, and being up there, you're close to a lot of historical towns and stuff like that, and the deer are pretty big up there too.
Awesome. Those are fabulous suggestions.
Thank you.
That is awesome. I wish all my guests did that kind of homework. Shit.
Well, hey, I'm trying to give out the best information I can, because I know not a whole lot of people will, now I'm not saying that all people don't do this, but a lot of people are impulsive. And I'm guilty of that myself. I'm just like, oh man, that's so awesome, I want to do it. But you may not be getting the best hunting quality that you can be, and that's what I try to provide here.
Yeah, absolutely. And My listeners and I both definitely appreciate that. So what about private?
Oh, right. Well, I've looked. Me personally, I've never used a guide or outfitter service.
All right, cool.
And believe me, we have some really good ones down here. But you're going to be paying some pretty prices down here because we've got high-end celebrities down here. We've got the Double Dime Ranch that Chipper Jones, the Atlanta Braves star, he owns and manages that ranch. We've got Spirit Wild Ranch, which is Ted Nugent's ranch. Okay. And then we have, I want to say the YO Ranch is another ranch that Ted hunts. But one in particular that I think if somebody was to come down here and want to do a guided hunt or outfitter, I would have to suggest the V-Bar Ranch, and it's BHARRE. My thick accent kind of gets in the way of that. It's located in Meridian, Texas, and it's about I would say about 40 minutes north of Waco. And even if you come down here for whitetail, that's what you want to hunt, and you get here and you're like, well, maybe I want something else. They have world record bucks, but you can also hunt exotics off of that ranch too. Oh. Extremely big, outdads, axis deer, elk, Gims buck, and Texas dog sheep. And they also have in-house meat processing. And you can look these guys up at huntingtexastrophies.com, and that's V-Bar Ranch.
I know a lot of my friends and people I know, they go to Texas specifically for exotics. I know it's a big deal down there.
And it's a great place to hunt exotics. The reason I bring up V-Bar is because one of my football coaches recently just took his daughter up there, and she got, I want to say it was either an impala or a Gims buck with a bow.
Wow.
And it's a beautiful animal. Beautiful. And, I've looked at pictures and stuff like this, and I was blown away by it because I'd never seen anything like it. And I would definitely say for a non-resident to come here and want to hunt exotics or even whitetail, you would get a authentic Texas experience from that ranch alone. It's really special.
That's cool. That's very interesting.
Oh, man, it's beautiful.
So you hunt private? Do you lease?
Well, right now I don't technically own it, but my grandpa just bought a couple hundred acres in Big Sandy, where we try to clean up that land and manage it as best we can. And it's a spot that hasn't really been hunted yet. And for the past couple of seasons, I've hunted with buddies of mine that have, been leasing land, just for them. They've allowed me to tag along, which is pretty cool. It's nice to have friends like that.
Yeah. No
But
kidding.
as far as, no kidding. But as far as this season goes, I'm going to really try to hunt my grandfather's land just to see what all's out there. We've got pictures of deer on trail cameras. And it's kind of hard to tell just what's out there because, they may be dropping sheds or they should be in velvet by now. But yeah, there's activity all over the place. It's just we need to strategize and know how to get them.
So that brings up some interesting questions, and I'm totally going to go down a rabbit hole here.
Okay, let's do it.
So what are you doing? So you mentioned that you guys are going to be cleaning up and doing some management on the land. Tell me some of the things that you're doing, because I don't think I've ever actually been to Texas. All I can imagine Texas is sand and rocks and
sand and rocks.
Yeah.
Oh no, oh man, you're okay. Now in West Texas, yes, that is 100% accurate.
Okay.
Now in East Texas, it is It is very lush. It's very green.
Oh, okay.
Lots of pine trees, lots of bushes and stuff like that. And what we're doing for this couple hundred acres that he has, when he bought it, it was nothing but timber, and it was all grown up. So what we went in there and did, we cut down some trees, made some trails. We have got a food plot going on the southwest end, which is normally where we see a lot of the activity. And we're cutting trails that we can go, easy access to game trails and stuff like that. We're just trying to clean it up to where it makes a good ecosystem for the animals, but also makes it easy for us to know where everything's at, and we can hunt them a lot easier.
Okay, so it is pretty comparable to what we would do here in the Midwest. I swear, I'm like imagining you like out there spotting and stalking in the desert and like with scorpions and shit. I swear.
See, now when you say that, I immediately think Arizona.
Well, yeah, I guess I lump all those southwestern states together. Man,
it's crazy.
I'm such a cheesehead. So that's interesting. I guess I mean, and all joking aside, I guess I didn't really realize that there was that much tracts of forest and timber in Texas. I mean, like I knew there were trees. I'm not that stupid, but,
Of course. Yeah, you're sitting there thinking, man, I didn't know scrub brushes got that tall.
Right? Okay.
they're like, no, that's a pine tree.
You're like, no, Carrie, that's not a tumbleweed. So you bow hunt more than you gun hunt? Do you guys have like a rifle season down there?
Yes. We have a rifle season, and we also have a muzzleloader season. Okay. And our bow season runs, I want to say for about 3 weeks. This season, it's going to be from October 3rd to November 4th, I believe. And what sucks about that is that opening day falls on a Monday, which is completely tragic.
Right.
Because I work a 9 to 5. So it sucks. Yeah. But yes, I mainly bow hunt for right now.
Can you guys hunt on Sunday down there? Because I know some states you can't. It's so weird.
Really?
Yeah, I swear, like Pennsylvania and some other these eastern states, there's no hunting on Sunday. And some states, like, you can't hunt past like noon or 1 o'clock. It's so weird.
As far as I know, I've always hunted on Sunday if I get the opportunity, and I have yet to read where it is illegal to hunt from a certain time frame. Now, if the sun is already down and there is no light, that's the illegal part.
Sure.
There has to be, sun has to be up and everything else. As far as to shoot one. Now, if you're tracking one and you think it's dead, then that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But that is really weird. I never knew Pennsylvania was like that. I bet you can't drink liquor on Sundays either.
Probably not. It's insane.
Well, see, that's one of our weird laws down here too, because we can sell beer on Sunday all day long, but liquor, nope. Can't do it. Sometimes I think of it and I was like, man, on a Sunday, I would like to have some cold Jack Daniels, and I can't get it. So,
some states, they have such weird laws. So, just so bizarre. My mom lives in Arkansas, and she lives in a dry county. And I'm like, I didn't even know dry counties were a real thing anymore. And apparently they are. Lots of them. I'm like, that's so weird. Yeah. That's so 1925.
Those counties are the ones who were like, no, prohibition still exists. Right. No, man,
you're like,
you can have a drink. No. So
I'm gonna go get some gas and some beer at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday. Like,
yeah, last time I checked, this is America. We can do what we want.
What do non-resident tags cost out there? And do you guys have like that weird lottery preference point system like a lot of the Western states do, or can I just come down there and buy a tag over the counter?
You can buy it just like you would Tylenol. You can get it over the counter, just as easy. Now there are a couple of lottery type systems. Now I'm not abundant in that information, but I know you can throw a couple dollars in, for a lottery system, if you really want to manage bucks, or if it's a lease that is like really booming and they just so happen to draw your name, that's how you get in. But as far as the lottery system goes, it's kind of like, oh, I want really good trophy hunting, but there's a chance that I may not get it. Or you can go public and be like, my chances are less, but I could shoot something really massive. A non-resident tag, just for general hunting, and this is for an entire year, and there's thousands of places. Like, you can get them at Walmart. Some hunting licenses can be sold in convenience stores. The cost of it for a full year is $315. And I know it sounds like a lot, but you got to think, it's a full year, and it's valid to hunt any legal bird or animal which is in season, including deer. Now, the reason I say including deer, because there's also another license for non-residents that is a Type 157, which is a 5-day hunting special, like you were talking about, just taking a week and coming down here at the cost of $48. And this license it enables you to hunt all legal game birds and all non-game animals and squirrels, javelinas, and stuff like that. And this also allows you to hunt exotic animals too. So you get a 5-day pass, and boom, you're in there like swimwear.
That's not unreasonable either for that price.
No, it's really not. But the thing that is probably the most important, if your birthday falls anywhere after September 2nd of 1971, which is definitely me, you have to complete a hunter education safety training course and purchase with your license, and that's a $15 charge. And if you're over 17, you can take it online, and you take it online wherever you're at, and boom, it can be mailed to you, and then you come down here and buy your license and hunt. And really, I know I'm spitting a lot of different information at you. The other thing I would recommend is if to anybody that comes down here, you got to get the Texas Parks and Wildlife Outdoor Annual app through your phone.
Okay.
That thing will tell you more than I ever could.
Okay.
I have it on my phone, and it blows me away with the information you can find. And it's a really good tool for what region you're in. It'll tell you rules and regulations specific to that region. It's extremely handy. And I was trying to get prepared for this, and I was like, wow, this is a lot of stuff. I'm not going to be able to touch on everything.
Right.
So
Right.
Yeah. So the app is definitely good.
What would be the number one tip that you would give a non-resident?
I would say the app is definitely one of them. But if I had to say anything else, I would have to say make sure your gear is dynamic. Make sure, because the weather changes around here so fast, it's unbelievable. Like, I don't even know why we listen to meteorologists in our state, because all of them are liars. It could be windy, it could be sunny outside, and then all of a sudden start pouring rain, or it could be really hot, and the forecast was for cooler weather. Layer up, but make sure you can strip down those layers if it gets too hot. Bring rain gear, and definitely bring scent block stuff. And because even if you get into West Texas and South Texas and stuff like that, it's open area down there. So if the wind goes a certain way, they're smelling that for miles. It's crazy.
So why don't you tell us a little more about you and East Texas Outdoors? How did you get started in hunting? And tell me more about this show that you have.
As of right now, it's been a very, very slow start for me, just because I do work a 9-to-5, and I like to spend a lot of time with family. I'm not going to say it gets in the way, but it's something that could. So, it's a time down, especially when you're doing it by yourself. Yeah, and I'm trying to put anything you see on Twitter, Instagram, anything like that, that's all me. How this came about was I moved to East Texas in 2005, and I grew up as a kid in the DFW Metroplex area. So I'm basically a city kid. And so I came out came out here, started living with my dad down here, and I got into hunting because I wanted to fit in. I came from a school that was, it was a huge school, and I was wasn't really the kid to get picked on, but I was on the totem pole, low end. And so whenever I moved here, I decided to break out of my shell a little bit and, do stuff that was not normal to me and new. And my first season hunting was with my buddy Chris, and I'm just kind of sitting there watching everything because I don't have any gear or anything. I just went out with him, and immediately after he gets a kill on his deer, I immediately take out my phone and start recording it. I don't know why. It just felt completely natural, and I would watch these hunting shows to get pumped up for it, because, you hear like, oh, I got buck fever and this is so exciting. And for an outsider to listen to that and have an open mind like I do, you get to it and it's like, man, is it really that way? And it is. It was a really good eye-opening experience for me. And I fell in love with it. But yeah, I basically got into hunting because everybody else around me was hunting. And, I kind of wanted to go hang out with my friends and stuff like that. But I chose a different route, and I chose to get a bow. Because I like the challenge. I've always been fascinated with archery, and I just like the challenge. And it took me about 2 years saving money and working to finally get my bow.
Yeah, because they're not cheap if you want to get a good one.
Oh, man, I bought mine completely bare from Bass Pro Shops for about $600, and then had to wait a while and put all the bells and whistles on it. So for 2 seasons, I didn't really hunt all that much, but I was getting ready to. And here recently, I just bought the new Bowtech Carbon Icon for 2016, and nice. Whew, that thing is smooth.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so awesome. And of course, I gave my other bow to my dad. That way, we can have father-son archery, and it gives us something else,
nice.
Something else to do as father and son.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, it's a great time. Now, as far as the East Texas Outdoor Show, when I was filming with Chris, I never really knew what I wanted to call it, but I knew I wanted to do a hunting show. It originally was going to be the three of us. So, like, if you've ever seen Bone Collector or stuff like that, it was going to be based loosely around what they do. Because I had a guy that was funny, had a guy who had lots of land to the deer, and we just kind of played around with that idea. Well, that ended up kind of falling through, because one of the guys was camera shy, and he just didn't want to, didn't want anything to do with it. And I was like, wow, man, you're so funny. Like, I don't understand how you don't want to do this. Yeah. And so, I kind of had to let it go for a while and reformulate it. And what it is now that I finally have this clear vision, I'm basically taking the audience on a journey through my journey as becoming the best hunter that I can be. For someone who's a complete newbie at it, because I've only been hunting for about 6 years. Okay. And I have yet to kill a big buck. So that's kind of, in a way, what this is about. It's my journey on getting my first big kill. And I think that's relatable to a lot of people, because a lot of people can, sit there and tell you when exactly that happened. And I would like to capture mine on video so I can have it for a while.
Heck yeah. That's awesome. That is a super cool reason to get started.
I thought it was one of the coolest ideas, and I pitched it to another friend of mine, and he was like, you have to do this. Like, that's awesome. I was like, all right. And I was unsure about it at first, because I was like, man, here's a guy who's never really, who's not a hunting guru trying to, put together a hunting show. That's like saying, hey, I'm going to start selling hot dogs, but like all I have is hamburgers. Yeah. Like that doesn't make sense. But I in my 6 years of hunting, I've learned a lot. And so I'm not the best I can be, but I'm definitely not where I was.
Well, it's cool, but at least you have like goals, and at least you have a progression to follow.
Yes.
That's what'll make it interesting. Well, where can people find out more about your show? And
pretty much you can find me on a lot of different social media platforms. I do have a YouTube channel set up, but we don't have any videos right now because I said I'm a busy man. But you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and I even have a camo photo, which is like the Instagram for hunters or something like that.
yeah.
I recently downloaded that, and all of my handles are ETX_outdoors_AS. It's how you can get in touch and, come along for the ride if it's something that you want to do. It's going to be fantastic. I'm going to try to put out the best stuff with what I got.
That's great. Well, Austin, thank you so very much for coming on the show and talking to us a little bit about what you're up to and about hunting in Texas. You've definitely given us an awful lot of good information.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. Well, again, thank you for coming on, and I'm sure we'll have you on again soon.
All right, looking forward to it, Miss Carrie. Y'all take care now.
And that'll do it. Thanks so much for listening. Don't forget to find the show on iTunes. Just search for HuntFishTravel Podcast. Hit the subscribe button. You can also follow me on social media. Just go to HuntFishTravel.net and click on the social media icon of your choice. The only one that's not listed there is Periscope. You can always find me on Periscope. Same Twitter handle, @CarrieZilka. Until next time.